So in this video, I'll be talking about the best way to show proof of funds for Canada Study Permit application in order to increase your chance of getting visa approval. This is not a one-size-fits-all. I'm going to try as much as possible to talk about a lot of the questions that I've been getting. I've done this video before, but there's been repeated questions that people have been asking, so I want to try as much as possible to answer some of those questions today. As you can see, it's a very sunny day. It's spring here in Edmonton and it's an opportunity to go outside. So let's talk about some of the questions. The first one is, can I sponsor myself? You might think it's a very easy question, but people still ask the question. And the second question is, if I am not sponsoring myself, who else can sponsor me? Father, mother, I'm going to be talking about that. The third question is, if probably you don't have one person sufficient to sponsor, you cannot use two sponsors. And if you're using two sponsors, what are some of the things that you need to put in place? Another question is, I have a company account or a business account. So can I use that, or it must now be a personal account? So which is the best account to use? And there is another one that somebody asked recently. Now, Canada requires that you print 4 to 6 months of bank statement. But the question is, do you actually need to stack the whole money in your account for those period of 4 to 6 months? I will also be talking about that. And there's another question. How much is needed for proof of funds? It depends on the family and individual and all of those things. So there are calculations you can do for all of those ones. Another question, does my sponsor need to have all the money in the account, or can they send the money to me, or they must show the money in the account? That's another question. Then there's another one, what document do I need to show for proof of funds, apart from the bank statement? So these are some of the questions I'll be talking about today, so go nowhere. Let's start, and let's talk about the first question. Can I sponsor myself? Now, this is very subjective. It depends on a whole lot of factors, right? In terms of you sponsoring yourself, there are a couple of things to put in mind, okay? If you have good savings, or you're employed, or you have a business, you can sponsor yourself. You have sufficient funds to show for it. So it's not just about, I have the money in the account, then they don't care. The most important thing is, where is the money coming from, right? So you need to show evidence, either as an employment income, from savings, or from business. You really need to explain all of those things. And they are really going to check where this money is coming from, right? They don't like it when you just go and show a money that is borrowed. Let's say you just call a couple of your friends and say, send me $2,000, $5,000 I want to use for Canada Study Permit. In fact, on their website, they explicitly stated that it should not be a borrowed money. Okay, so how do you go about this? Because they're going to check your transaction history, okay? If you have big sum of money coming from your account, you have to justify that. For example, if you're going to sell properties, let's say land or houses, and people are going to be sending sums to your account, you have to make sure you have evidence of that sale, okay? There should be a deed of sale, whatever, and the sender must match with the name that is in your account. If Sunday Hillary is the one that is buying the land, then that should be the name that is going to be in the deed of sale. So that when they are looking at your transaction history and there is a record to say land sale, right, then they're not going to question that, right? So you need to, if it's from land sale, house sale, whatever it is, sale, you can show that, even though an equivalent of $5,000 or $10,000 enters your account at once. If you can show evidence, if it's something you sold, that's fine. But if it's just a friend sending the money to your account without showing anything to back it up, it's not the best. Before I go to the next point, if you've been enjoying this video so far, so kindly click on the like button. It will show YouTube that people really enjoy this video and they will recommend this video to other people. And if you haven't subscribed, do it to hit that subscribe button. Let's talk about the second question. Who else can sponsor me? If I'm not able to sponsor myself, who else can sponsor me? Now, generally, the best people that can sponsor you are family members. This can be a spouse, or your father, your mother, your brothers and sisters. These are the best that can sponsor you, okay? So because for these people, you can easily show, let's say, marriage certificate for your spouse as proof of relationship. You can show birth certificate, for yourself and your dad or your mom or your brothers and sisters if they are the ones sponsoring. Well, generally, friends are not the best option, okay? If you have in-laws or uncles and aunts, they can also sponsor you. But in your letter of explanation, you really have to be clear how you are related, okay? If it's from your mother's side, and let's say your uncle and your mom, they have the same mother, the same father, you can show your uncle's birth certificate and your mom's birth certificate. If your mom or your dad, and your dad will not change that name. If your mom have changed her name due to marriage, then you can also include a change of name as an evidence to that effect, okay? And sometimes it might be, maybe they did, depends, like a long time ago that they did their wedding, and if they can't show that change of name evidence, then you can do a new affidavit just to state that, I changed my name due to marriage, okay? Then that's going to be fantastic, okay? So proof of relationship is one of the most critical things if somebody else is sponsoring, so you have to put that very clear. Let's answer the next question. I have a business account, I have a personal account. What is the best option? Which can I use? Generally, a business account is not the best option. I would say personal accounts are the best, okay? So even though the person sponsoring you has a business, they still have to show their own personal account. Even though it's a sole proprietorship, you still have to, you still can't just print your business account and say, I want to use my business account. One of the things you can do is that if you have a business account, you can gradually send money from your business account to your personal account. And then because it's a business name, it's the same name, you have corporate affairs registration. In fact, if you don't have corporate affairs registration for your business, just forget about it, okay? Because this is very important. This is how you have to justify that it's a business, and then there is a business account associated with that business name, okay? What are the things you can do? You can send like money bit by bit, maybe equivalent of $2,000, $5,000, $4,000 to your personal account from your business account. That way you can write a letter to say, okay, more like now a company is writing the letter, right? You can say, my company have sent, or the management have decided to send about equivalent of $5,000 or $10,000 to my account, such that I can, because I'm going for school, then they want to use it to support me. If you're using it, if you have a corporate business, of course you can't use that, because you can't just use an incorporated company where you are not the only one that have the signing authority. It won't make any sense to even use that at all. So that's why, because another thing with business account is that, you can have $5,000 or $10,000 in your account today, and by next week you do one or two businesses, and what happens? Your money is gone, right? People don't really keep money in their business account. And I used to tell people, the inflow and outflow don't matter. Even though you have $1 billion inflow and outflow, if your closing balance is $1,000, that is not going to count. So your closing balance really need to be good. So one of the things you also want to make sure you do is that in your letter of explanation, you have to really state how you moved money here and there. It has to be clear, because you don't want to stress them, right? You want to really give them the impression, so that when you're looking at your overall application, the letter of explanation is really meant to help them, have a visual picture of what the whole application is going to be, okay? But if you have a business account and you have a personal account that they are using to run that business, you can use that account. Okay, let's say your business name is Peter Incorporated, for example, or GradNext Incorporated. And I have a personal account that said Peter SSLA. That is what I'm using for all my business transactions. Then definitely you can use that, okay? But still make sure there is a substantial amount of money in the account in terms of the closing balance. Let's go to the next question. Do you need to have all of the money stacked in your account for the period of 4 to 6 months? Okay, so again, the answer is no. Okay, the answer is no. But one of the things you can always do is to gradually build your account aggressively, okay? So that by the end of the day, I always advise whatever amount of money you're going to be showing in your closing balance, if you can have it a month before you apply, it's fine. 3 weeks is okay. Not minimum of 2 weeks, because it's not good to just, maybe you moved money from somewhere, maybe from your business to your personal account today, you print out the account tomorrow. It's really too young, okay? So I would say give maybe 2 weeks minimum. If you can do 3 weeks, that's fine. Okay, gradually. If you send a huge amount of money to your account without any justification, and you print out the account like 1 or 2 days after, that is a very big red flag, because these guys, they're professional, right? So they look at all of your transactions line by line. They want to pick out something. To be honest, I always think that they are looking for something to use to deny you. So you want to make sure you avoid all of those things. Okay, let's talk about the next question. How much do I need for proof of funds? Okay, this depends on a whole lot of factors. Okay, so if you apply for a 1-year program, this is just an estimate. Okay, if you're applying for a 1-year program, I'll say typically you will need 1 year minimum 1 year tuition plus $10,000 for cost of living, right? If you apply for a 2 years program, let's say a diploma program or a master's program, still, minimum of 1 year tuition plus $10,000, right? If you are for a 1 year program, obviously it's good to have the whole 1 year plus $10,000, 10,000 Canadian dollars. If you apply for a BSc bachelor's degree, I would say typically either yourself or your sponsor should have 2 to 3 years of tuition plus $10,000 cost of living. They usually don't say have the $10,000 for those 3 years or 4 years. Then I would say for PhD without scholarship, usually the same 2 to 3 years of tuition plus minimum of $10,000. Okay, this is just an estimate. If you can show more, the better. Okay, if you have scholarship, it is optional to show any other additional proof of funds, but my recommendation is usually find a way to still show to about $5,000 to $10,000. This is really important, because when you have a full scholarship, when I got my scholarship and I came to Canada, my scholarship wasn't activated till about 3 weeks. Okay, so how am I going to come and and pay for rent and get food during those periods? So it's really important to have some money to show that if peradventure I lose my scholarship, I still have something to fall back to. Like when I had a full scholarship for my master's, my brother and one of a family friend, both of them actually provided their account, and they wrote letter of sponsorship to say, I know that he has fully funded scholarship, but this is just in addition to what he already has, in case of anything, we are there for him. And another thing is that if you're coming with family, you really need to apart from yourself, all the calculations I've talked about for yourself, you need to show like $4,000 for the first family member, and then 3,000 Canadian dollars for the subsequent family member. It's all stated on the CIC website. You can definitely check it out and see how it applies to you. Like I said, these are just estimates. Okay, there is no cap to the maximum. In fact, I tell people, once you've done your calculation and see, okay, this is the minimum, I usually suggest have like 20 to 40% above the minimum. This is just to be on the safe side, because you don't know how the exchange rate is going to be, in terms of when you apply to when they are going to review application. And another thing is, when you are calculating for proof of fund, you can use the official rate, because they are not going to be using black market to calculate proof of funds. Okay, so for that, use the official your central bank, whatever official rate in your country, to calculate that. Okay, have more. And the next question is, does my sponsor need to send all the money to my account, or they can leave it in their own account and then just show whatever bank statement? Well, I would say most times it's better for the sponsor to show the amount in their account. That way they can use opportunity to show all their other supporting documents like their employment, status, a letter of recommendation from where they are working, and if they have a business, they can add a corporate affairs registration. They can get an official letter from their business. This can just be so person is the CEO of this company, signed management, just to be official, right? And it should be written on the company, letterhead, so it's good to write a letter to that effect. Now, there is so much to talk about in terms of proof of funds, and everybody's case is different, okay? So if you're still unsure about how to go about this in terms of how much money you need to show, if your situation is different from what I've described now, you can reach out to me for one-on-one mentorship, and I'm going to look at the situation and then advise you on the best way to show your proof of funds as it relates to you. So check out the link in the video description. There's also going to be a link in the pinned comment for my website. So sign up, and then I'll see you in the next video.